I like want to bring this up on your podcast because like all the USA
Okay.
fans like get at me because I'm like harsh about this like corner thing. Your sister is the harshest person ever in the world to me.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Friendlies, brought to you by the Women's Game. Today we have a living legend of the game, an absolute superstar. She's the long-serving captain of the Matildas, the only player in the world to have won the Golden Boot in 3 different leagues. She just scored her 100th goal for Chelsea moments after returning from her ACL injury. Many call her a hero. I just call her my future sister-in-law, Sam Kerr. Welcome to the Women's Game.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks for having me.
This episode of Friendlies is brought to you by Verizon, a proud supporter of the global game and the players who inspire us on and off the pitch. As an official sponsor of the FIFA World Cup 2026, Verizon is honored to help share the stories of the world's top players, including the incredible women who are changing the game at every level. Stay tuned for more on how Verizon can get you connected to the game we love. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to hear you've been like our most reoccurring unofficial guest. You've been popping up in the background of multiple recordings over the past year and a half. So I'm honored to finally have you on as a guest. You're going to be the center of attention today.
I know you have been hassling me, so
I
thought
I have I have been hassling you. I've been saying, can you really like do me a solid at work and come on the show? And you agreed. What a great sister-in-law. Okay, well, we've got some big questions for you today, including we're going to ask about Jagger, backflips, scoring 4 goals a game, and we're going to find out who knows Kristie better. But I also want to wish you a slightly belated birthday. How does it feel to be 32 years old?
It feels good. Yeah, it's been a nice birthday actually. I had my first birthday with Jags, and yeah, it didn't do anything special. It just, when you get older, no one cares about your birthday.
I know. My birthday's coming
So
up. As we know, you're 9/10, I'm 10/9. And I just sent my mom a pair of jeans to order for me, and I think that's going to be the highlight of my birthday.
I know Kristie bought me a coffee to go cup, and I was like so stoked. And she was like, "That's the lamest
Incredible.
present ever." And I was like, "That was exactly what I wanted."
It's the simple things now. I'm going to be 33 though. I am older. Just in case anybody doesn't know, you're engaged to my sister. This past spring, you and my sister Kristie welcomed a baby who's my nephew, Jagger. Does your birthday look different now that you're a mom? Like what was it like?
Yeah, it does look different. I think we didn't go out. I didn't get to host a birthday party this year because it's just like too hard to like organize a babysitter and all of that. So I guess it does look different, but it was nice. Like me and Kristie just like literally did nothing. We just hung out, us three. I don't even know if we made it out for dinner. We don't think we made it out for dinner. We just literally hung out, spent the day. I had an off day the day after, so we just did like family things, went for a walk, got
Lovely.
coffee, just fun things.
I know, it really is the simple things. Okay, Sam, I'm so excited you're here. For this interview, I want to kind of go all the way back to the beginning. You grew up in Perth. That's like a remote beach city in Australia, and I love it there so much. But sports were really the norm in your family. Your grandparents were athletes on both sides of the family. Your dad and your brother were Aussie rules football players, which for our American fans is not soccer and it's not rugby, but it's like kind of this mystery third thing that I'm going to have to ask more questions about. But from my interactions with your family, you're all really close. You like really enjoy being around each other. How do you think sports helped bring you all together?
I mean, I can't remember my house without sport. And like still to this day, my sister plays netball. Like we're so invested in like all forms of sport. But I think it just was like what our family was built on. Like I just all my memories as a kid are like going to my brother's game, going to my mum's netball, going to my dad, like coaching. Like it was just kind of, what we did as a family. So it feels like it was just like I don't know, like everyone talks about like, oh, this or that, but I just cannot remember my life without sport in it. And because like my dad was a coach, my brother was a player, my mum was a coach, my mum was a player, I was always like somewhere or another. But I loved it. I think it's like shaped our family, like our togetherness, but also like our competitiveness and like will to want to be good all the time.
Yeah, well, you're definitely marrying into another sports and competitive family. I know that you played Aussie rules football until you were 12, but then you had to transition into soccer because there was like limited opportunities for girls. And I'm curious if there's anything about the way you play soccer that feels like you carried over some skills from Aussie rules.
I think probably the athleticism. I think like that was something you had to be all AFL players have like a ton of athleticism and like the way they read the game, you have to like be able to read like the game quickly. So I think that part of it, and then kind of like the flair, like Americans don't really know, but like in Australia, like the forward pocket players, like they kind of always have to like do something special or do something tricky to like get out of it. And like I feel like that like instinctual play has come from Aussie rules.
Is Aussie rules what's always on at you guys' apartment?
Yeah, I mean any type of sport I can find, I'll put on. But yeah, we watch Aussie rules in the morning.
And can you just very briefly explain, mostly for me, just in case Jagger ever wants to play, like what's the difference between rugby and Aussie rules?
There's actually no real connection between rugby and Aussie rules, I would say. I would say that Aussie rules is like closer to like Gaelic or even like football, honestly, in like the rules of the game. Like you can go forward, you can go
But no
backwards.
pads,
No
no
pads,
helmets.
no helmets. Nah, you don't need that stuff. Um, we like tackle accordingly because of it. You can like
Yeah.
kick the ball. For anyone that's like Irish or whatever that like knows Gaelic football, it's very similar to that.
All right. Okay, cool. Well, I love watching it. I mean, I feel like all the guys who play like have this like very attractive swagger about them where I'm just kind of like, "Oh my god, this is like pretty incredible to watch you guys run around."
AFL players are like the best looking athletes, I think. They're like
Yeah.
full body,
Yeah.
got the like athleticism down
Yeah.
packed.
Yeah, they look great. I do love when it's on TV. Okay, back to you, Sam. So you transitioned to soccer, and by 15, you were already playing professionally. By 16, you got called up to the senior Australian women's national team, the Matildas. Women's football in Australia has come so far, in part, honestly, thanks to you and the impact that you've had on the game. But what was your national team environment like in the early days? Is there anything that you remember that would surprise people about like the resources or the structure of the national team when you were a teenager?
Back in the day, similar to the US, we had like centralized contracts and like they pretty much like went to, I would say, like the senior players of the national team. It wasn't really based on like, well, it ended up being based on performance and stuff, but to at the start it was like not really. And I think like for many years of me playing in the national team, I played for like almost no money, which is like crazy to think now because like, you know, we fly all over the world now and in a position where we can, you know, make nice money from our national team. And it's a huge honor, but it's like back in the day, like we would almost lose money playing for the national team. It's come a long way. I think the biggest thing is like the standards. Like we used to stay in hotels where like we, you know, couldn't eat the food. I was eating like cereal before games and toast because I just like could not trust the food. There was just so many things. Like I was so naive and I was a kid, so I like loved it. I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. Like I'm on holiday with like 23 footballers and I was like so naive. But like now looking back, I'm like, that was like dangerous. Like I was like going to China and losing like 5 kilos and like eating white bread and
Yeah.
Vegemite.
Yeah, I know. I remember one of our like U17 trips. None of us were really eating the food either, and but they would pack like a snack box, and so then we would just eat like some of the girls like were just eating all the snacks, but it was like Snickers and like chips and like I think we were just young to be, you know, eating food we didn't know anything about, especially in like a different country where maybe it wasn't the highest standard. So I definitely can relate to that. I do wonder at that young of an age playing for the senior team, if you already felt like goal scoring was a part of you and if you remember feeling the pressure to score goals at every level ever like hitting you.
No, I actually don't. I like when I was like 15, 16, 17, I was just like having fun. I was like not thinking about anything. I was just like so naive to like anything. Someone actually asked me the other day, like when you went to the national team, were you like training and being like, yeah, I'm like one of the best players already? And I was like, nah, like I just literally went there and like had fun. And like, I think like it's like well documented that I like sat on the bench for my first World Cup and I was like, this is awesome. I'm at the World Cup. And like, I just had no like, the drive and like the competitive, I always had the competitiveness, but I kind of thought like I'm young, I don't like deserve to play. Not deserve to play, but like I was like, oh, they can play, they're older. Whereas now I'm like, no, I want to play every minute,
Yeah.
you know? So it's
Yeah.
like my mindset changed. But no, when I was young, I just like had no pressures at all, which like seems crazy now to think. And like what a nice time to just go somewhere and just like have fun. But I don't think that like pressure of like wanting to score or needing to score came till like maybe like my second year in the US.
Okay, interesting. Well, we're definitely going to get to that, and I may bring up the pressure again at some point. You've mentioned your athleticism, which you've maybe got from Aussie rules, and now just how you loved having fun out there. So now I'm like, where did the backflip start? Did you ever do gymnastics? Like when did you remember first doing a backflip after you scored?
I think I first did it at the Asian Cup, but honestly, there was like a couple of us that like were so young in like a really old, like an older team. There was like me, Emily Van Egmond, Caitlin Ford, and Tegan Allen. And we all just like literally were like 16-year-old knuckleheads that like loved doing stuff we weren't allowed to do at camp. And like we all thought backflipping was like awesome and I was like the best at it. So I would like do it. Like if you ask like Caitlin Ford and like the girls, they like literally were like all trying to do backflips when we were like 16, 17, and like we shouldn't have been doing that like at national team camp. That was like our goal, to learn how to do a backflip.
That is so crazy to me. Also, for the record, Kristie, you're not anymore, obviously, but she used to be like great at it. She used to do like round off back handsprings. I think she did one at like our U17 World Cup or something. But you do them, or you have done them a lot throughout your career, club, country, wherever. After you score a goal, the run, the kind of iconic Sam Kerr backflip. Do your trainers and coaches ever still mention it to you, like, please stop doing that?
I think with my goal just recently, like people were debating if I was going to do it, and I was like, no, like, um, but like I think it's just like a thing now. People just think I'm going to do it, like, but I mean, I wasn't taking any risks on the weekend, that's for sure. So I think, I mean, people still ask me about it, and like I think it's just a bit of fun. Like I don't always do it. I don't always want to do it. It's just like whenever I'm feeling it.
Okay, well, it's fun for everybody else to watch. I want to come back to the Matildas and your place on that team as you've led them to World Cups and Olympics, but your club career is just as storied. In fact, it has like what I keep referring to it as like Sam Kerr folklore. That's like the status of you, especially with your career here in the NWSL for multiple reasons. First of all, in 2013, the very first year of the league, you played for the Western New York Flash. It's kind of folklore in and of itself. And that was your first experience of America. I know all about it because I lived there too. But what did you make of upstate New York? Did you like understand what you were getting yourself into when you decided to go to Western New York?
Absolutely not. I thought I was moving to New York City. I was like, I'm gonna be like going to Manhattan. Like I was like, this is epic. Like I thought
Yeah.
I was moving to like New York, and then like I got there and I was like, wait, what's this? There was like deer in my trash, and I like thought someone was breaking in. And everyone was like, it's just deer, and I was like, what do you mean in our trash? Like
Yeah.
what?
Wild. I remember we used to talk about the mall because all I did when I was there was go to that mall. I don't even remember what it's called, but I imagine a young Sam Kerr also walking around the mall in Buffalo.
Yep, Dick's Sporting Goods was like my thing. I used to go there and like walk around Dick's for like ages, and like there was nothing to do, just like, I mean, Chipotle, that's
Yeah,
about it.
I hit up that Chipotle a lot
There was a
too.
really good milkshake place down the road. I used to go there,
Yeah, I mean,
just
it's
eat.
the simple things. You were young. Okay, so this is kind of bringing us back to the Sam Kerr folklore of the NWSL. After your 2014 season in Western New York, you got traded to Sky Blue, which was maybe more like the real New York, but you went on to score the most goals for your team in the following season. But then this is the folklore I keep referencing. The draft pick that Sky Blue traded to get you was the draft pick that got used to pick me. And this is like the first original Kerr Mewis crossover. It was actually us.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
We are just connected in all forms of life.
I know the writing was on the wall. So now you're at Sky Blue. Your career there is literally the stuff of legend. You scored hat tricks, you won the Golden Boot and MVP in 2017. There were games that you played in that like we all still talk about. The time you were down 3-0 to Seattle at halftime, you scored 4 goals to come back yourself to come back and win the game for your team. Moments like that made it feel like you were like the one of the first celebrities of the NWSL in a time when the league was really finding itself. Do you remember that? Like, what do you remember feeling as you scored 4 goals in one game in one half?
Yeah, I mean that whole season was just like crazy to me because like it was the first like real season that I put like a full season together of like performances. So like every like as a young player, like every game you're kind of like trying to focus, trying to like be really prepared, and you know what it's like as a young player, you're like a bit up and down. So I was kind of like, oh, like one of these games I'm going to absolutely like bomb out, like I'm going to be terrible. And then that game, like at halftime, we're like down 3-0, and it's like, yeah, this is the game. Like I haven't touched the ball, like, and then it just like went like on and on. And like one of the goals, like I think the one where I kind of like spin out and dribble and then shoot from like outside the box, like I still can't believe like I did that, because I'm like, I don't do that. Like that's not what I do. But it just kind of was like, as a player when like everything's going your way and you're like banging it up a 90 and you're just like, things are going your way. Like
I've had
sometimes you
like
just
maybe
have those.
one day like that.
Yeah, well, that game, it was like, if the ball comes to me, I'm going to score it. The weird thing is, like, I actually missed a penalty in that game, and that's the one, that's the thing that, like, haunts me. I, like, should have had 5 goals.
It's so crazy to hear that. And we're actually going to come back to another time you scored 4 goals and you had a similar reaction. I do want to talk about your move to Chicago, though, because I think something that's really easy to forget is that players, and right now in the NWSL, we've just had this kind of change where players need to have like autonomy, and they have a say over whether they get traded or not. They have a say over where they want to play. But we used to not have that. And so as a result, like oftentimes players would end up in a place that they didn't really plan to or didn't even know they were getting traded to. And despite your like superstar status in the league, winning Golden Boot and MVP, you had very little say over where you were going. You got traded to Chicago, and I read that some of the players on your team found out after it was already released in the news. How did that feel for you to know your talent and worth and value on the field, but to be kind of powerless off the field?
Yeah, it was tough. Like, it was, I was still like in that state. It's like really hard to like wrap your head around now, because like, I mean, you were in the league at that point, but like for like fans that didn't get that time, it was like you were really like stuck between like a rock and a hard place, and it's like hard to put yourself back in that. Like it's like, oh, I was like going back to Sky Blue unless they traded me, although I was like digging my heels in, but like just slightly, because like I didn't have power. So it was like a really hard place to be in. But like it was crazy. Like I was like, I mean, I think I told you this, but I like had a couple of places on the NWSL that I was like, I'm not going to. And like Chicago was one of them. And I like ended up there. But like I didn't know what was going on. Like at the time they had like press. So I was like, oh, I'm not going to play. So like I won't go to Chicago. Like no way. And then I ended up being in that like crazy trade that was like press, Carly, and me all switch
Oh,
positions.
yeah.
So then it ended up being fine. But like I remember watching the like draft back in the day, and I was like, they traded, and then my agent texted me and he was like, that was you in that trade. It was like an undisclosed player. So like that's how I found out I got like traded. I was like playing for Perth Glory at the time. I was like at a training session, and they were like, my agent texted me and was like, that was you traded in the draft.
And so you had
No.
no like nothing was mentioned to you ahead of time.
No, I had like spoke to like a couple of coaches on the phone, but like you just never know. You didn't have the power then. Like, and yeah, I got trade in the draft. It was like undisclosed player traded, and it was like me.
Oh my gosh, that's so what. So you end up in Chicago, and you mentioned that you were playing for Perth Glory at the time. That was the time when, like, during the NWSL offseason, you'd go home to Australia and play for your kind of hometown team. You did that for most of your time playing in the NWSL. What was that like, kind of going from season to season? And what were you hoping to kind of bring to the W League in Australia to help that league grow?
I loved my time in the W League. Like I still miss playing in the W League, and I think it's like such a fun league. And at the time, both leagues weren't as long as they are now, so it was really just like playing as many games as I could for like myself as like a footballer. And we had a coach at the time who was like really strict on like how much, running, how much like fitness, like how many game minutes we had played. So it was like the best thing for us to like play W League and then go to America and play. It's not possible now, unfortunately, but I think it just set me up to like play as many minutes as I could, because I mean, we were like looking at teams like, you guys, the US, that were playing like crazy amounts of, this is when you played outside the FIFA window, you were playing like
Oh
4
yeah.
games per camp. So it was like we were losing out on like 20 games a year that you guys were playing. And then when we played you guys just ran all over us. So like we were like kind of mimicking what the US team was doing at that time by trying to play two different leagues and more national team games.
Yeah, yeah. It's so interesting to think back on this time now when the rules in women's football in general weren't really as like strict as they are
Yeah.
now. To imagine now a national team playing games outside of a FIFA window is crazy. Like I'm
Yeah.
like, we did that? What? But that was like a lot of my national team career. Okay, so just to place us back in time, we're in 2019. You're playing for the Red Stars in Chicago. And then that was the year you and I both went to the World Cup in France. We didn't play each other. The US did not play Australia in that tournament, but your performance was so notable in that tournament. Australia was in their final group stage game against Jamaica, and to secure your place in the knockout round, you scored 4 goals again. And I like looked up this game, Sam, to be like, come on, she didn't score 4 goals again in this game in the World Cup. And it just says Kerr with the 4-minute marks right after it. And I'm like, I can't believe this is like a regular thing in your life. You were the first Australian to ever score 4 goals at a World Cup game. And afterwards, the coach of the other team of Jamaica said, quote, "The kid's just resilient. She plays for the badge, her country. You can't teach that. It's something she has. She brings her team with her." And I'm wondering now, Sam, if it's like, I was going to ask you this the time before when you were like, it was one of those games where I could I just went off and I could, anytime I got the ball, I was going to score. Do you feel like that's more like natural ability, that you just have a knack for scoring? Or do you feel like it's a product of all your hard work and training? Or is it just like the perfect combination of both?
I think it's the perfect combination. I think like I have like a natural ability, which I'm like very lucky to have. And I'm like very aware. Like your sister always will say to me, like, "Oh, you're so arsey. Like you just get like, of course you do this, or of course that happens for you." Because like I do just like kind of have a natural ability to make things work. But I think that sometimes undermines like all my hard work and sacrifice that like I have given up. And I think sometimes my personality too plays into that a bit too. But like I've like sacrificed so much and like worked so hard to like get where I am. So like I think it's just a perfect combination of both. But like I am very lucky with my natural ability that I was given, I guess.
And when you say your personality plays into it, like, do you think that's just because you're so easygoing that people go, "Oh, it's just Sam Kerr. She was born this way," and it kind of minimizes how much training and hard work you put in because that's your personality, is to kind of like dismiss it or just be kind of like light about it?
Yeah, I think so. I think most Aussies are pretty like chill and but yeah, I think I like am very aware of my natural ability like so I like work I make it in my work in my favor, I guess. But like yeah, I like to part of my like playing well and scoring goals is like being lighthearted, being laid back. It's like if I was like uptight and like doing 5,000 sit-ups a day, I just like wouldn't play well. I wouldn't have fun.
I find it so funny that you're just like marrying into the Mewises. We're just like not that chill, and I just really hope you can like bring me down a notch. Okay, back to this game, because you referenced this earlier, how you in the Sky Blue game where you scored 4 goals, you were like, "But I missed a PK." Do you remember what you said after this World Cup game against Jamaica where you scored 4 goals again?
No, but probably something.
You said it wasn't your best game. And I'm like, that's so wild. And that brings me to like, you are so chill, you love soccer, you have so much fun playing, but you are really critical of yourself and you remember mistakes. And how do you think that has influenced or affected the level that you've gotten to?
That's like part of who I am. Like I always remember that like I can score many goals and remember the one I missed or whatever. I think that's just who I am. I don't like to fuss over like a goal or there's very rare times where I'll like come home from a game and be like, yeah, I played well tonight. Like I don't really do that. I feel like I mean you'd be surprised most footballers don't do that, but I think that's just how I am. Like I always want to be better. I always want to score more. I always want to like be the best. So it's like I feel like I'm really critical of myself, but I guess towards the later stage of my careers I've been able to like keep that under control, whereas like in the first bit of my career I would like lose my head or miss a shot and then I would be missing for like 60, 70 minutes, whereas now I feel like I've got that under control and I can stay in the game even though I've been playing terrible for 90 minutes and still score the winner.
It's an incredible mindset to have. And I love like kind of getting into that. I think so many of the listeners will be fascinated by that idea that anybody can play bad for 90 minutes and score the game winner, and then nobody remembers the rest of the game at all. After that 2019 season, where you went to the World Cup, you played for Chicago in the NWSL. There was another Mewis Kerr crossover in the NWSL championship game, but I didn't necessarily want to get into the details of the 4-0 loss for Chicago. I barely even remember the goal that I scored in that game.
That's the game when you like think you're going to score the winner, but then they just keep scoring more.
I know.
So yeah, I didn't touch the ball that game, and yeah, my mum paid valuable flights to fly all the way to North Carolina, and I didn't touch the ball. It's okay. You also beat us in the semi the year after and the year after, so
I know.
I don't know what's more painful.
But you guys beat us in regular season all the time, and then it was just that was like the thorn in our side, literally. So when it came time to playoffs, we just figured it out. Anyways, I didn't really want to bring all of that up, but
it's okay.
After that season, you announced you were ready to move on from the NWSL and head to Europe. How did you know that it was the right time for you? We've talked a little bit about like the lack of autonomy that you had in your NWSL career. You played there for 7 seasons. What kinds of factors were you thinking about when you decided to move?
Yeah, I always like wanted to play in Europe, but like I had just never really found a team that like screamed that is where I should go. A season or 2 before I signed, like Emma started like not hassling me, but I can say that now about her, but you know, texting me. I'd chatted to her on the phone a couple of times, and it was like she was like more interested in me, and I was like, oh, this like chick seems pretty cool, like I could work with her.
And you're talking about Emma Hayes.
Yeah. Well, like, yeah. And then I was like, yeah, she's like cool, like whatever. I think then I was like really like scared to come to Europe because I was like, oh, I don't want to like, you know, leave somewhere where I'm doing really well. I'm scoring lots of goals. Like the grass isn't always greener. Like, so I was like worried, and I think I just got along really well with Emma. And then I like did a visit to go see Chelsea, and I was like, I wasn't like ready to actually sign, but they like put the piece of paper in front of me, and I was like, I guess I'm doing it. Like I'm bad with peer pressure, so we're signing here. So yeah, I think it was just like multiple things. Like I wanted to like better myself, but I was like scared. There was like way more money involved because, you know, at the time the NWSL wasn't like it is now. And yeah, I think I just like needed a change up. I think I was like kind of tired of like doing the same thing, and like I hadn't won one. I kept getting absolutely destroyed by North Carolina, and like yeah, I thought it was just like time for something new.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Well, despite saying you had that little bit of fear of like, I'm scoring goals, I'm doing well here, and now I'm going into this whole new environment, you were an immediate success in the WSL. You won the League Cup in your first year.
You got to go watch my 6 games. My first 6 games.
Their first 6 games weren't good.
Oh, I like couldn't score. And everyone was like, she sucks. Right,
yeah, it's she
tough. Sucks, wasted money.
Literally, my first game at Man City, I completed 4 of 17 passes. And like, I remember specifically Kira Walsh kind of being like, I like thought you were going to be good. And like, it was we played Chelsea actually. And I was so embarrassed.
Yeah. I mean,
but it's a tough transition.
I like want to bring this up on your podcast because like all the USA fans like get at me because I'm like harsh about this like corner thing. Your sister is the harshest person ever in the world to me. She just doesn't do it in public. And I was like struggling at Chelsea. I was like down in the dumpster. Everyone was like, this girl's overrated. This girl's a waste of money. All of this stuff. And when I first started talking to your sister, we were just started talking, and I had a terrible game. I won't name the game, but I had a terrible game. We won, but I like literally had like 7 1-on-1s and missed. And I come back to my phone, and your sister had sent me a text. You're meant to kick it in the net. And I'm like, I don't know if I like this girl anymore. I was like, and I was getting absolutely demolished by everyone. And she says, you're meant to kick it in the net.
Kristie, she's tough. She's a lot of tough love. Kristie is pretty notorious for tough love, I'd say.
Yeah, she is.
Well, anyways, after those first 6 games, you had a lot of success in the WSL. You did win the League Cup in your first year. You got back to winning the Golden Boot in your second season, an award that you would repeat as you went on to keep winning with Chelsea. And you mentioned Emma Hayes, obviously the head coach of Chelsea. And I feel like obviously we love Emma Hayes here in the US. She led us to a gold medal at the Olympics, but we're only really just still getting to know her and her personality. So I'm curious if you could speak a little bit to what makes her so special as a coach. You played for her at Chelsea for 4 seasons. Why do you think Emma brings such a winning way to whatever team she's coaching?
I mean, well, first of all, she's a great coach. She just knows how to win, and that's the most important thing to Emma is winning. Everything we did at training was about winning. It was so annoying. She would like scream out who's the winner of like the competition. Like we would count the whole season who was like winning, and it didn't matter if you were out with injury or whatever. Like you were at the bottom of the leaderboard. So like she would like make every rondo, every like thing, everything mattered. You got a point for every time you won. Um, and I think she just drove like a real big like emphasis on winning. And I know that sounds so like weird, but some coaches aren't like that. Some coaches don't care if you lose at training or like your team doesn't win the 5v5 tournament or the 1v1 tournament. Like she cared about everything. And that really resonated with me because like I think sometimes like you just have to like grind it out to like win. Like sometimes it can't be pretty all the time. Sometimes you just got to like win. So like as a coach that really resonated with me, but like off the pitch I think that's like Emma's greatest gift. She's like an unbelievable like leader. She's like feels like a coach, a mentor, like a mother. She feels like all of those things like for a player. And like yeah, I feel like so lucky to have played under her because I think like even now I look back on the time with Emma and I'm like, oh my God, like I was so lucky to play for a coach who cared about like me as a player, but also me as a person. And like she helped me through like when I was like struggling those like 6, 7 games, she like always talked to me, always helped me through, like gave me tough love. Like I think she benched me after like the 7th game. She was like, you're out. But like she like does she like does it in a way that's like makes everyone feel loved and cared about and just created an environment at Chelsea that was like a family. And like that sounds so cliche, but I think it's just like it's an environment for people to thrive in.
Yeah, and I know that you've expressed an interest in potentially coaching someday after your career. Are there all these things you're saying about Emma? Is that the kind of coach that you would want to be?
Definitely that would like be something I would mirror my like coaching style off. I think especially in the women's game, like I think it's so important in the women's game to like make players feel like they have the environment to be able to perform at their best. And that doesn't mean everyone's going to start, but it means that everyone is going to be playing at their best and feel valued. And I think that's somewhere that I feel like I would want to base my coaching style off if I ever became a coach. Maybe I'll be an assistant.
An assistant sounds more fun.
Assistant's like the cool, like
pal around, come to you with questions. I know, I agree. Assistant sounds way more fun. Okay, so you're having all this success at Chelsea and you're always balancing your club career with your national team career. Australia's hosting the 2023 Women's World Cup, which is incredible. Obviously, your team came into that tournament with so much excitement and kind of a responsibility to like really represent the nation well as you're hosting, and all your fans were so excited. Though I wouldn't necessarily say you were a favorite, but you guys kept winning. You had such an incredible tournament and have certainly made cases for yourselves to be favorites in tournaments moving forward. You beat France in the longest penalty shootout in World Cup history. You made it to the semifinal against England, where you scored what has to be one of your top 3 goals ever. It was a banger from really far out. I know you were struggling with a calf injury during the tournament, but that goal was another one of these like Sam Kerr folklore moments of like, how could you do this again? How could you score the biggest goal again in the most important moment under the most trying of circumstances again? And I want to know how you experienced this goal. And does it rank in your top 3 you've ever scored?
Yeah, it does rank in my top 3, but from that game I remember the one I missed 20 minutes later. But no, that goal was like amazing. I feel like it was just like such a relief. I like had this like out of body experience. Like I never shoot from that far out. I don't know what happened, what came over me. And like watching the footage back, I'm like, why didn't I pass the ball to Caitlin? Like she's open. Like if I missed that, I would have looked like a total like hog. So I was like, it's so funny to watch it back. Like I have no idea why I shot that or like stupid. I should have like looked up and seen Caitlin Ford like running there, but I mean, lucky it went in. But yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
just like an out of body experience. Like, it was like meant to be kind of almost. I don't know.
It was really, really incredible. And it was one of the moments I think that has like really solidified in everybody's memories from that World Cup, just it being you, but the tournament also being in Australia. We actually got a question from one of our listeners. Zoo Batman asked this on our Discord channel. Has the excitement around the Matildas and the Ferns from the 2023 World Cup persisted in Australia and New Zealand soccer culture?
Yeah, I think so. I think in parts, yes, and in parts, no. I think that's like, the same as every World Cup. There's always like a real big buzz, and then it obviously like dies off a little bit. The buzz around the Matildas has like still been there. I think now there's a lot more expectation on the team, on performance and things like that. So I think there's still a real buzz around the Matildas, but I would have liked to have seen it dribble more into like the W League. We have the Asian Cup coming up that kind of kickstarts that. But yeah, I mean, everyone knows the Matildas now. Everyone knows multiple players in the Matildas now. It's not just one or two players. And I can't speak for New Zealand because I haven't been there, but I was on a flight recently and some cute little old lady was telling me about how proud she was of the Ferns on the flight. So I think it's probably left a lasting impact there too.
That's really, really sweet. After that summer of the World Cup, you returned to London and Chelsea, but you only got through half the season before you tore your ACL last January in a long injury that would take you over 600 days to recover from. I know how difficult that time was, but we've been talking about how since you were 15 years old, you've been playing, you've been going from league to league, back and forth. What was it like for you to really be away from the game and off the field for such a long time?
It was pretty crap, to be honest. I think like it was hard because like things also weren't going my way. It wasn't like, I was sitting off the park and I was training and having a great old time. It was like, doctor's appointment after doctor appointment, flying here, flying there, trying to fix my knee. So it was pretty tough. There was definitely tougher times, and I felt like every time I like would have some like I said it like I had 6 good weeks and then I'd have 2 really bad weeks. I had like maybe like 7 or 8 setbacks. So I think it was just tough. Like, I mean, especially like when it got to like the pointy end of the season, it's tough to not be involved in those games. And I think like as a competitor, you just want to be out there and you just want to like show people what you're made of. And that was really hard for me. And I think the good part of it was like you play football for so long, you kind of like think it's like your identity and it's like who you are. But like I think with the time off, I got to spend more time with Kristie. We got to go home, see my family. We had Jags. So there was things that happened that like really kept me going. But I think now I have like a different look on football and I don't like hang so much of my life on it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or try not
that makes
to.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think obviously I went through a long injury myself, and my journey to finding myself outside of it was really long. And so I kind of understand parts of what you went through, and I know that it was a really difficult time for you guys. But like you mentioned, you also started a family with my sister, Kristie, during your time off the field. And so really quickly, I want to play this game. Who do you think knows Kristie better, you or me? And then we're going to wrap up. So I just have 3 questions for you. Kristie has sent in her answers. I have not seen them. But we have the technology in place here at the Women's Game to make this happen. So what's Kristie's favorite Christmas movie?
Oh, God. I do not know this.
I'm going to say The Grinch.
I don't even know Christmas movies. I'm going to say Home Alone.
Oh, I feel like we both made really good guesses, but it was Christmas with the Cranks. I'm devastated. Okay, next one. Biggest flaw that even Kristie herself would admit.
Oh, gosh.
I'm going to say being bad at technology.
I'm going to say, because I always get at her at this, when something goes bad, she makes it 10 times worse.
The answer was control freak. So we're both over 2.
Okay.
Neither
of us
finally, what's her go-to pizza topping? Buffalo chicken.
Oh, yeah, buffalo chicken.
Right?
I was just going to say plain, like cheese.
Oh my God. The answer is buffalo chicken. This was a pretty pathetic showing from both of us.
Well, you won.
But I won. So I forgot to tell you this at the beginning, but this means I get to pick the songs at your wedding. It means I get to send in requests.
You can do that anyway.
Okay. Just a couple more questions, Sam, and really more recent ones, because at long last, after your injury, you made it back to the field with Chelsea, where they faced off against Aston Villa. That was less than 2 weeks ago. After 634 days away from the game, it all led up to this moment. And when Sonia called your name to warm up and sub in, what were you feeling? What was going through your body?
I said this to the girls and Kristie after. I was just like kind of like laughing. Like I wanted it to just be over. Like I hate those like moments where it's like, oh my God, 624 days. I just like wanted to be on the field so like everyone could like stop talking about it. But like it was so nice. I heard like all the Chelsea fans like get up and like start clapping, and it was like obviously a nice moment. And then even better, I heard all the Villa fans booing, and I was like, yes, I'm back. Like I'm getting booed. So that was like nice. And then yeah, I just like wanted to get on the pitch. I was like, Kristie was like, you look nervous. I was like, no, I just was like awkward. I just like hated that I knew everyone was like, I knew the
All eyes on
commentators were
you.
talking about it. I knew that, everyone was talking about it. And I was like, this should have been like a year ago, but whatever.
I know. And I do think that it's tough because as as notable of a player that you are, and honestly, as long of an injury that you had, it feels like it is going to unfortunately be a part of the narrative for a little bit. I'm of course asking you about it, but I think to do what you did next was really like, okay, we can stop talking about it now because here I am, I'm back, and I'm already back to scoring goals. And I just want you to like take us in. If you were thinking anything, you jumped up and challenged the goalkeeper for a ball, and you had this relentlessness in the box that was so typical you. And then the ball falls, and talk me through what you were thinking and feeling in those moments when the ball went in.
Yeah, so the like original bowl in from Sandy, like I actually thought I was going to get on the end of it. So like I kind of like went to go, and then it like went across me weirdly. And then yeah, it went up, and Ellie Roebuck was there, and I like don't know why, but I thought I could like jump as high as her hands. And then yeah, the ball just like was buzzing around. I think I had a few hits at it, and then as it like came off my boot for the goal, I knew it was going in. I could just see the angle. So I was just like, I was obviously really happy. I was like relieved and just like kind of like laughing. And I think like the response that the girls gave me was like really nice and like melted my heart, because it was just like they were all so happy for me. And then yeah, after it was like I just wanted to like thank the Chelsea fans, because like throughout these last few like months they've been so supportive of me, and just like it was like, some of them probably lost a little bit of faith in like me, or forgot, what I could do on the pitch. And I think that was just like it felt nice to be able to remind people it's like, I don't even need a whole game. I can score like an important goal in 20 minutes, whether it's my first game back or not. So I think it was nice for like my confidence, but also like to, like you said, like remind people like I'm back and I'm going to do scoring goals. I'm going to do whatever I do.
I love that so much. I think scoring goals is so much a part of just your like aura and energy. And there's so much more to you off the field. But to come back from that injury and score a goal in the first game was just so like emblematic of who you are and like who you are as a player. I feel like to wrap up, I kind of want to bring this back to Jagger. Obviously, we saw the picture of him in the stands. He was watching you play. He's also seen you go through the end of this journey. Obviously, he's a baby and he's probably not going to remember it, but I think that knowing you, I know how much having young people look up to you means to you, and how important it is to you, and how you take that responsibility really seriously. Now having Jagger and continuing to be this person that so many young people are looking to, what do you want them to take away from your story through everything that you've been through your whole life and career, but especially these last 20 months? How do you want Jagger to think of you when someday he grows up and learns about who you are?
I think just like, being a resilient person, and like always staying like true to who I am. Like I've had so many people over the last year, like, say, oh, she'll never get back to what she was. She'll never do like, score goals again. Those days are gone. We need this, we need that. It's like, and for me to just like come out, and it like doesn't matter what people say or what people think or what people are expecting. It's like I just stick to my like guns and stick to my like resilient mindset and just get it done. Like it doesn't really matter what people expect of you. You just prove them wrong or keep doing what makes you happy, I guess. Is that?
Yeah, that was great. That was really great. I love that. And that's such an important lesson. And I feel like I just want to say that those things, sticking to who you are and believing in yourself and persevering through adversity, those are qualities that you'll have even when you are done playing soccer someday. And I'm so proud that you're in my family and that Jagger has you to look up to. And I've been so proud of you throughout this whole journey, even when you weren't on the field, and I'll continue to be even someday.
Thanks, Sam.
Again. Yeah, you're welcome. Well, Sam, that was it. Wrapped up. We did it. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I had so much fun.
Oh my gosh, good. Well, I guess I'll just see you in the family group chat, and I'll be in London very soon.
Can't wait.
Thank you all so much for listening. I am seriously so proud of Sam and the journey that she has been on. She is such an incredible role model and someone that I'm so happy is part of my family. There are a few people I enjoy watching play more than Sam Kerr, and I'm so excited to see her continue breaking records and barriers with both Chelsea and the Matildas. I'm also very excited for the wedding. Before we let you go, we've got our linked up voicemail of the week presented by Verizon. Each week, we want to hear from you. So call and leave us a voicemail at 855-611-4050, and you may be featured on a future episode of Friendlies. Here's our caller this week.
Hi, Sammy. I'm Maya from Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm a Gotham and Arsenal fan. And my question is, if you could pick one national team player and one of your ex-teammates from club to go on the Traitors with, who would you pick?
Hi, Miles. Thank you so much for calling. So I'm going to assume that in this scenario, I get to be a traitor with the two people that I pick. We're going to be on the same team against everybody else. And I think right off the rip, I have to go with Kelly O'Hara. I feel like Kelly is so competitive, but also so smart and could really just think her way through the Traitors game in a really vicious way. So Kelly O'Hara is going to be my national team selection. Now I have to do club. And I feel like I'm no offense, gonna miss Lynn with this one. I feel like Lynn would get the giggles. I know for a fact that she flopped in her Seattle Reign version of Traitors. So sorry, Lynn, but I'm leaving you behind. I'm thinking I'm going to bring Mary Speck along for this Traitors ride. She's another smart one that's capable of being evil, and I just feel like she'd be really good. So I'm picking Kelly O'Hara and Mary Speck. We're going on Traitors, and we're going to win the whole thing. Miles, thank you so much for calling in with such a creative question. That was our linked up voicemail of the week presented by Verizon. If you want to join us for this segment, the banana phone is open. Give me a call at 855-611-4050. Leave a message, ask me a question, and you could be the next featured listener, thanks to our friends at Verizon. Next week's guest is another special one, someone who has turned an extremely difficult moment into an opportunity to make the world a better place. It's Angel City's Savvy King, and she joined me for a great conversation about her time with the U.S. Youth National Teams, her experience at Angel City, and CPR awareness. So tune in next Thursday to hear from Savvy. Thank you all so much for being here. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to this YouTube channel or podcast feed, and you can check out our newsletter. It gets delivered to your inbox every Tuesday with all the news that you need to know. Thank you all, and we'll see you soon.